Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leader of the Hot podcast. Today, I have a very good guest, my new good friend, Lily from London, the UK. She's got quite a story to tell with us. She has an amazing mission. She helps people reconnect with themselves and become who they are. She works in career and confidence and leadership development, supporting individuals to accelerate in their careers in an authentic way and be able to show up as an unapologetic and empowered leader. So, yeah, this is a very, you know, special person that we're going to talk about something that's really dear to my heart. And yeah, so Lily, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for the invitation.
Pleasure's all mine. So, for people who don't know you, who's Lily?
Who's Lily? Well, first and foremost, I'm a daughter, also a sister. I am Malaysian-born Chinese.
Wow.
So
Okay.
originally born and bred, raised in Malaysia before coming to the United Kingdom for studies.
Nice.
Very fortunate to get a job offer and stayed on ever since. First of all, just to find out what does it feel like working in another country as an immigrant. But decided I love London and just stayed on, since then.
Wow. Awesome. How long have you
Yeah,
been in London?
it's coming up to 9, 10 years now. I'm losing
Wow.
track.
Wow. What is the thing you love the most about London?
Definitely the diversity of
Mm.
people, of everything. There is something new happening in London every day. You just never
Wow.
get bored of it.
And what is the one thing you like the least about London, apart from the weather?
I would say, huh, I really like London. I wouldn't say
All
there's
right.
anything dislike or that I complain too much about. Maybe slow tourists that, stop in the middle of the pavement taking pictures. I think
Oh
it's a
yeah,
very traditional Londoner complaint about
I
tourists
see.
blocking the way.
I see. Before we start about this podcast, let's have some fun questions. You know, when we grow up, especially when we're kids, and school and parents and teachers and friends and family ask us, "So Lily, what do you want to become when you grow up?" What was your answer back then, when you're a young girl just growing up?
Oh, it changes every few months, I must say,
Ah, okay.
depending on what caught my fancy. I'm the type of person who always get excited about something new. I think definitely there's a period of time where I wanted to be a princess. I think as with
Ooh,
as with every little girl. And then as a police officer,
wow.
as a doctor, as a surgeon. And I think I remember wanting to become a company secretary as well. I'm
Wow.
very much easily influenced by, what's going on, what kind of shows I'm seeing, and what's popular at the time.
That's awesome. Wow. And when you were in school, a student, what was your favorite subject?
Mathematics.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. I see. So, and then when you finished school, how did you how do you get into what you're doing now? Was it something straight away from school, or was it something that progressed, or whether you got into something completely different and then at one time you said, I don't, this is not what I want, enough of that, let me go into what I'm. So how did your path evolve from what
Yeah.
from school to what you're up to now?
It's been an interesting journey.
Hmm.
I have always been interested in psychology and human behavior.
Hmm.
And that's actually something that I wanted to study in university.
Hmm.
However, at that point, 15 years ago, psychology is still not very much accepted in Asian countries. There's a lot of stigmas around it. And as with Traditional Asian families, they worry about, can you make a living out of this? Can you sustain yourself? Why don't you choose a more safer subject? So I went into accounting and finance as my undergraduate degree. I did a few internships in tax, in audit, decided very much that's something that I never wanted to do. And then I went into management, did a bit of consultancy, and decided it's the best place for me to start my career because of the variety of the people that I can meet. And I started in program transformation, so program delivery, project manager, program manager, etc.
Mm.
And I think at that stage, I've met a lot of supportive allies or supportive mentors who gave me the space to really figure out what I wanted to do, who I am, and basically told me you only have a few years to really
Mm.
explore and think about what you want to do without any dependence on you.
Wow.
And that was when I first started my career, 2 years into my career. We said, use this time, try out everything, fail at
Hmm.
everything, do terribly in everything, and decide what you want to
Yes.
do. And I got into coaching and leadership development by chance, actually. There was an opportunity that came out, knew nothing about it, just thought it sounded interesting. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And that was really the change that helped me, and the aha moment, and say that, right, this is something that I wanted to do full time.
That's awesome. Tell us more about what you're doing now. So you said you're into coaching. Tell us more about your program and what you do basically.
So I do either one-to-one career and leadership coaching for people
Hmm.
who really much wanted the tailor hands-on support. And I do have a group coaching program and a course for people who wants more of a structure, more of a community, and more of a peer learning based journey.
That's awesome. So if someone wants to join your program, what's the process and how would they go? I mean, tell us more about how would someone, when they join the program, what happens to them and how do they benefit from it?
Yeah, so before they decided even to join anything, first of all, we'll get on the call and just have a
Mhm.
conversation to really understand what's going on for them, what are their what outcomes are they looking for, what are their career dreams, the career goals, and just decide whether are we right for each other.
Do you
I mean,
have do you have do you target specific group of people? Do you have like your ideal avatar of a client? And if yes, what it is?
so these people are usually in working in corporate consultancy. I would say they are used to working in matrix structure or project-based
Mm-hmm.
structure where reporting lines are always fuzzy. They have multiple people that they need to report to, a lot of stakeholders to manage. They are at the stage where they have always been the doer, but they're transitioning into the leadership role, starting to have people that rely on them, and they're starting to need to think about how can they shift from a mindset of doer to be a leader.
Okay, awesome. And can you tell me the example of the most remarkable transformation you've had from one of your clients? Of course, you don't have to share the personal details, but just curious to know the most incredible or the most remarkable transformation that you've seen from one of your clients, or the most inspiring transformation.
I think one of the most inspiring transformation I've seen from my client was someone that I worked with 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She came into one of my coaching initiative. at that time with a lot of heavy burden in terms of how she is navigating and building relationship both in the workplace and both at home in her personal life, and that she has a lot of defensiveness and aggression that has been built up over the years, and she has tried so many different ways to manage it, to deal with it, to suppress it, or to forget about it. And we went through quite a very intimate journey to really understand where is this coming from. It has helped her to really rethink how she look and how she think about her relationship with the people around her, and kind of build healthy boundaries for herself as well. And for me, it's very inspirational because it also allowed me to rethink how I approach my relationship with the people around me too, because the progress that she made and the vulnerability that she has shown is something that at that point I have not seen in others before, or I have not had the privilege to have access to that before.
And what did you feel personally when you saw that happening? Did you feel that, hey, this is amazing, this is a validation of what I'm doing, or what did you feel yourself when you saw the transformation, unfolding in front of your eyes?
I felt very humbled to
Mm,
be able to see that transformation, because it is such a private transformation to be on,
mhm,
and to be able to first of all help another person through that to become a better version of themselves, and to see her thriving basically from the work that we have done together, and to be allowed into the space
mhm.
to 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 be able to listen and to talk to her. I think looking back, it has not been easy letting someone in,
Sure.
and very humbled to be one of the person.
Awesome. You mentioned that you help people reconnect with themselves. Tell us more about that. What's your process? How do you do that?
There is no one fixed process. It's very much dependent on where the person is starting up from. There's a that I tend to do with a person. We definitely look at values. So what kind of values or what kind of motivation and drivers do they have, and to have the distinction between what is their core values or what's important to them versus what are the influential values that they have or they thought is valuable for them.
Mhm.
And to really go into the essence of how have you been making your day-to-day decision, and does it actually connect to the values that you say is important to you? I feel like there's often a disconnect between
Yes.
what we say our values are and what do we actually do in real life, and how do we actually live our day-to-day life,
Mm,
and helping them to kind of manage that disconnect, or kind of make it clear or where the disconnect is. A lot of things get resolved from there.
okay. Do you have any tips for people to specifically want to to undertake and tackle this disconnect that you just mentioned? How do you, because sometimes we want to do something, but as we just mentioned while talking before the call, that there's so many distractions out there. I mean, whether it's social media, or let's say you want to focus on one thing, but then you have your friend telling you, hey, if you don't get into crypto, you're stupid. The other one say, if you don't get into real estate, you're nuts, and so on and so forth. So how do you have any tips on focusing and finding the balance and connecting what you want to do that aligns perfectly with your values, with deep down what you're mostly passionate about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. A question that I like to ask the people that I work with, and myself as well, it's what would I regret not doing?
Ah, love that. That's
Why?
powerful.
And often it's understanding why would we regret it is where we start to understand, what are the different values that is driving behind it.
I really love that. What would I regret not doing? And I just wrote it down because the worst feeling we can have is that of regret. It's much better doing something and failing. At least you can sleep with a happy. I mean, with a your conscious okay without having any. Because again, the worst feeling is, I wish I did. You know.
Yeah,
Wow, awesome.
yeah.
So that's lovely. Okay. The theme of my podcast is Lead with a Heart. That is basically people are building impactful businesses and making impact and are passionate about the cause. What would you say is a cause that's really dear to your heart and why?
There's two causes that I hold really dearly.
Hmm.
First of it is homelessness.
Yes.
Um, and second of all, it's education access
Hmm.
and access to the basic educational needs. So
Hmm.
two of those I hold really dearly because I can see that my upbringing, I have been very privileged to come from a very comfortable family and have access to all of the best or the best education that my parents could afford for me. And to have that advantage in life is not something that I kind of take lightly. And I
Hmm.
understand that there's so many bright and intelligent and capable people that have not had that advantage that I've had. And it's very easy to just have one unfortunate incident in your life and you're either homeless or that you're
Absolutely.
just cut off.
Absolutely. I had an incredible lady on my podcast, I believe 2 days ago, from India. She has an amazing, very touching story. She was, in India, there's a lot of stigma, especially, for female, it's a lot harder. So she was going through university, and then at one time, her father passed away. And an Indian family, especially in the remote provinces, if your father's passed away, then basically you're basically screwed. You cannot do anything. So she could not afford to continue her studies. And then there was this angel, this gentleman that sponsored her education. And now, long story short, she's the executive director of one of the biggest nonprofit organizations in India that's helping the poorest of the poor. I mean, that story and that podcast, absolutely mind blowing. I recommend for you to watch it as well, because I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. Yes, you're right. So sometimes we're just one step away from, as you said, being homeless or whatever. And I see it around me. It's especially in the Western world where everything is all about uh, the corporate life and the cost of living being so high, so much pressure, that it's very easy to fall behind and get kicked to the curb. Yes. So yes, and another thing, key point that you mentioned is that me and you and most people listening to this podcast, we're blessed that we don't have to worry about what we're going to eat today, where we're going to sleep. But there's a lot of people that are facing this daily struggle, daily battle. And as I mentioned to you earlier in our conversation before going live, not any single individual can change the world, but if me and you, we can inspire just one person to do good with with their businesses, and then they went on to inspire another person, before long we can have an entire global network of enlightened entrepreneurs, and together we can make the world a much better place. So it doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't cost much for an existing entrepreneur to do good, because because when you do good, you're gonna get the ROI you're gonna get back is like not even 10 times, like 1,000 times from the universe, in terms of karma, in terms of goodwill, in terms of people talking about you, in terms of the media picking it up. So whatever you do to help Don't look at it as an expense. It's that's a wrong way to look at it. That's a big mistake. I've made that mistake myself in the past. And once you make the switch from looking at it as a as an additional expense to, hey, because I believe that it's, as entrepreneur, is our duty and responsibility to do good, because we've been blessed to be in a position to do good, to have impact. Then let's make the most of it. Let's use our strength, our assets to to do good, because
Yeah,
this is what the world needs. So I absolutely love that. Very
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. I very much believe in karma, as well as very much believe in the concept of paying it forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Because and that was, and another, just coming back to that lady from India, that I mentioned. I asked her, so maybe you should reach back to that gentleman and thank him. And she said, yes, I did. And the beautiful thing is that when she did reach out to that person, he did not even remember it. you know because sometimes me and you and others, we can do small little gestures that are completely insignificant for us, but can have completely life changing, result for someone else. you know or even, for example, you mentioned homeless people. These are, as you said, human beings that have been dealt a bad card. Sometimes when we walk down the street, we completely ignore them as if they were part of the scenery or furniture. But what if we can just start saying, hey, how are you? How's your day? What's your name? Just for 30 seconds, 1 minute. It doesn't cost anything, but for them, to treat them as human beings with dignity, that can get back the confidence, the self belief, and humanity. Or even sometime, if you see them, just get, for example, maybe not giving them money, but giving them, some food. Or even, s- let's say, for example, if you walk down the street and you see the same people, after a while you get to know them. If you see that there is, these people are really, have a really good heart, give them a book. The power of a book is limitless. That can really inspire, because it's all about inspiring, inspiring, and allowing people to believe in themselves, just like you mentioned. A lot of
yeah,
people that have been kicked down to the curb, they have lost all belief, not only in themselves, but in society. And it's up to us, by small little gestures that for us are completely insignificant, that we don't even remember. Just like the gentleman that sponsored the education of that young lady, it was nothing for him, but for her, it meant the world. It meant a difference between being completely destitute and God knows what a life would have been, to now being a bright shining beacon of hope and leading one of the biggest nonprofit organization in India.
yeah,
So it's absolutely,
mhm,
when you listen to these kind of things, it really gives you goosebumps. And that's when you say, wow, this is beautiful, this is really meaningful. Because again, when you build a business that's just about seeing the numbers, buying whatever materials, at the end of the day, it's like any toy. After a week or two, you're going to get tired of it. But if you're doing something that's much bigger than you, that is having impact on others, I mean, nothing can, the amount of fulfillment that you will feel from that is unreachable. So
yeah,
again, as I told you, as I warned you in the beginning, when I start talking about that, you will have to come and say, hey, shut up, because I talk too
yeah.
much.
I love it. I mean, I love speaking on this as well, and loving to hear the experiences and the stories you have, and definitely the fulfillment that you get from giving and serving your community and the people around you. It's unmeasurable, and I
Mhm.
find that we are currently in a generation where everyone is trying to find fulfillment, to find what's their purposes, what's my purpose in life, how does fulfillment feel like or look like. And a very big part of it, I believe, it's serving others
Absolutely,
and
being of
seeing what
service.
comes back from serving others. And it's it is a very, in a way, selfless journey, as well as a very tough journey to be on. Fulfillment does not equate to enjoyment. You don't get, all of the nice joyful feeling along the way. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of hardship that you need to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll be like, okay, this is, I feel that I serve a purpose. I feel fulfilled by doing something or by serving someone else or serving another community.
Absolutely. And a lot, especially in the Western world, one of the major challenges people feel, especially successful people, is that of a purpose, because they set a goal, they reach that goal, and they say, "Is there all there is to it?" They feel empty. It's not the pursuit of just another zero in your bank account, another car, another house, another whatever you want. As I said, you can have it just like any toy. After a while, you're gonna be okay, whatever. You not even pay attention to it. But when you have a purpose, a mission, and that your work has direct impact on the lives of others, that's something that's gonna, in the morning when you wake up, you're not gonna be, oh damn, another day at the office, how I'm gonna survive. And instead, you will be jolting out of your bed like with passion, with excitement, with full of energy, because you know that what you're doing is meaningful. Because at the end of the day, it's all about having a reason, a meaning, and a purpose. If you don't have that, then you're just like a zombie just coasting through life,
Yeah,
or a headless chicken, just running around.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. It's
so
just you're just going through the motion of the day.
exactly.
And you'll get to a point where you look back and you wonder what have you actually accomplished for yourself.
And I'll take that one step further. Say, what do you want to be remembered as? You know, W-
Hmm.
because it's all about being. Maybe I'm being too maybe idealistic, but at the end of the day, I believe that we all are here for a purpose, for a reason. I read a quote that stuck with me about a year ago, and it's always stuck with me. It's like the two most important dates in our lives are: one, when we are born, and second, when we realize and find out why we are here. Because each of us comes here for a reason, for a purpose, for a mission, so to speak, on this planet, on this lifetime. So, and once we do find that out, then our life takes a completely different, and in a lot of cases even a 180-degree turn, because now we have a reason, a purpose. Before that, we're just aimlessly wandering around like a headless chicken, but now we know exactly, we have a direction, and that can completely change someone's life for the much, much, much better.
Yeah, yeah. And to get to the point where you know your purpose or why are you here, it's you wouldn't know until you get there. I think that's the tricky part, is that before I found or fallen into coaching,
Hmm.
I never knew what I'm here, what am I supposed to do. Everything is interesting, it's nice. I learned a lot, but nothing gets me so excited until I
Hmm.
found or fall into coaching. And I think for people who are going through that journey themselves, reflecting back on, and I would have told myself, let's not stress too much about it.
Exactly. That's for sure. um Let me see what else. um there is sometimes in life we have I want to know if you had that experience as well. There might be something that is. Let me give you an example. One gentleman that I have on my podcast 2-3 weeks ago from Australia was as one of the most amazing, inspiring stories I've ever heard. He grew up in a very wealthy family, and the problem was he grew up with a narcissistic father. So the father was extremely successful, but each time he was trying to accomplish something, do something, his father was always putting him down. Hey, put him back in his place. And as a result of that, he grew up with a chronic lack of self-belief, that he was as he was about to succeed, he would self-sabotage himself and then fail. And then it took him 50 years to really learn the lesson. It took him one divorce, two suicide attempts, one heart attack, and finally, while he was recovering from heart attack, he said, "Okay, screw that. Now I need to do what I'm always meant to do." And he started doing something completely opposite to what he's been doing. He started writing a book, and that's someone that has never written a book. And he said, I want to write a book to inspire children around the world. I want to, just like the way that I wanted to, I would have loved to have someone to inspire me, to give me self belief and confidence, but I never had growing up. I want to do that myself now. He's on a mission to inspire and give self belief to a billion people, sorry, to a billion children around the world through his books. And that story was amazing because he was able to take the single greatest thing holding him back, this chronic lack of self-belief, into his greatest asset now. So now, looking back into your life, would you have something similar that was holding you back, and now over time, not only you overcame that, but also you turned that into your greatest asset and skill?
Wow. Um, for me personally, one of my biggest challenge that in a way I have to overcome, or
Hmm.
and I'm still in the journey of it. It's to be vulnerable
Wow.
with my friends, my family, and with people.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into it. But growing up, I had a very thick wall
Hmm.
between myself and the rest of the world that I've built up. From my lack of self-confidence, I have a lot of body image challenges that I've worked through. Um, Growing up as a woman, a girl,
Hmm.
a female in Asia, coming over to a new country, trying to fit in, trying to, be part of the community. There was a lot of things that I had to kind of build a wall around myself in a way to
Hmm.
protect myself.
Yes.
And it has been a very challenging journey just to kind of chip away from it.
Hmm.
And a lot of, I would say, funny moments, embarrassing moments, crazy moments, just to figure out what does being vulnerable even means for me.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say I'm there yet. I think it's a lifelong journey, but
Hmm.
going through the process of just experimenting, testing it out, talking to my friends with it, asking, and just going out there and being okay with just being myself.
Yes.
That
Abs-
has been that has been in a way my biggest journey, or my biggest personal journey today.
and what was been so far the biggest lesson you've learned from that?
No one cares that
Sorry.
you're yourself. No one cares that
Oh,
you are yourself. You know
that's so true.
I think I have a lot of fear of being judged, or being kind of labeled based on my personality, or who I am. I learned that no one really cares about it. They
You
like
know,
me for who I am.
and it's so true. It's so true. One of the most biggest, blocking blocks that people have, especially when it comes to doing something, is what are they going to think about it? You know, but at the end of the day, just you said, they don't give a flying damn. They don't give a flying damn. Just just do your thing. People are too busy with their own lives, their own problems. Even the person that seems to be so perfect has a ton of problems that you would not even imagine. You know,
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah.
Don't think about people. And if you think that the people around you are not going to be a source of support, then maybe it's time to upgrade your social circle. You're the average of the five people you spend most time with. So for example, if someone is broke and they're always hanging out with broke people, then they're gonna end up broke. Or if you're fat and lazy, if you hang out with fat and lazy people, you're gonna be like them. Instead, hang out with fitness enthusiastic people or with entrepreneurs, and see how that's gonna rub off on you, and you're gonna, as a result, have no choice but to to be like them, because when you spend time with these people, you will realize something very important, that these people are not very different than you.
Yeah.
They may or may not be that much more smarter than you. It's just a matter of they have a different set of beliefs, different set of habits, and it's those beliefs and habits that over time compound to a completely different outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And one thing that I have, I mean, it's a saying that a lot of people say, when one door closes, another door opens. But
Oh,
going
absolutely.
through, yeah, going through life and experiencing what I've experienced to date, that is really true. When I let go and let things happen just the way it is, something else will come along.
You mentioned when that's so powerful. One door closes, another one opens. In French, we have a similar expression says when one door closes, 10 others open. Or when you lose one person, 10 others are waiting in line, just itching to come into your life. So
Yeah.
it is so true. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Um, Let me ask you some fun question now. Uh, do you have your own podcast?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Well, it's because we have people like you, Famous, to do a wonderful job, hosting
Thank you.
podcasts.
I appreciate that. I'll tell you about that after. But the reason I'm asking this is, imagine you have your own podcast, Lily, and you have the most special, the most amazing, the most special person in your life in the world that you're interviewing, and that is yourself. So, what would be the first question that would come to your mind? And that's not the question that you prepared or rehearsed for a long time. It's like the first question that would automatically, the first one would come to your mind, just like a gut feeling question. What would be that, just right now, without you even thinking? What would be the first question that comes to mind that you would want to ask yourself, and why? Don't think too much.
Well, okay. I think I would ask myself, what new things have I done recently?
Oh, and what would the answer?
Um, in the last, well, a new thing that I've done today, I have tried out a new gym class called Reformer Pilates, where they have all this
Wow.
fancy equipment that looks more intimidating than it is. So I think definitely it was a good shot to try out that class this morning then. But I think I always like to ask myself that question. It's there is so much life has to offer,
Mm,
and that let's not limit myself to what I currently am already doing. And
wow.
when I talk about what new thing have I done recently, it does not need to be, I have, went and do skydiving, or went
That
and
would
do
be
an
cool.
extreme. Yeah, that would be cool, but it doesn't need to be anything big. But what's something new that I've done in my day-to-day life, in my normal routine, to just say that I
What is
have.
the craziest, the coolest thing, the most exciting thing that you always wanted to do but haven't done so far?
um
Don't hold back.
I would say skydiving. That is number one on my bucket list. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but I've never mustered up enough courage to do it because I have a fear of heights.
So, being a coach yourself, how would you overcome that fear yourself?
Um, I've actually tried multiple times. The thing is, I like going on a roller coaster. I like doing bungee jumping. I
Mm,
like all of those stuff. And one thing I realized is I have, I just need to do it. I just need to get myself, get on there and just do it. It's the moment before I jump or take the leap or take the plunge, that's when my fear kicks in. And I've seen time and time again. It's book the ticket, set a date, get there, and just do it.
Exactly. I think you just need to even get on that plane and have the instructor just even push you. Of course, you would be terrified, completely terrified out of your skin. But then 5 seconds later, when you're floating in the air, you would be, oh my God, why didn't I do it before? I'm so stupid. I should have done it much earlier. That's so amazing. I love it. I'm sure this is what you will feel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay, cool. Now, imagine that you have a special skill, and I mean, you're blessed to have a time machine, and now you're sitting face to face with your 18-year-old self. What would be the number one piece of advice you would give yourself, and why? Knowing all that you know now. Don't think too much. Just what I'm looking for is
Yeah,
more like the spontaneous, because as we talked earlier, we need to get back to who we really are and listen to our
yeah,
intuition.
yeah. I would say, the first thing that I thought of is it's gonna be all right.
Ah,
It,
yes,
it's gonna be fine. It's gonna
you'll
work
be
out.
fine. You'll be fine. Yes, universe is looking out for you. Absolutely. Speaking of superpowers, let's say that you had the you were offered the choice to have any one superpower. Which one would it
Hmm.
be and why?
Any superpower?
Can be any.
Oh, hmm. I would say teleportation.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and to just be able to just instantly go to any places that I wanted to be.
What would be the
Um,
first place you would go?
I would say currently Malaysia, back
Oh,
home to
I
visit
knew
my
it.
family.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow. I would love to be able to teleport. I would have the same answer as you, because I have many good friends. After living in Asia for so long, they all told me that Malaysia has probably been the favorite place. And as soon as I can travel again, I want to go s- and see and maybe establish Malaysia as my home base in Asia, because I just every Malaysian I've known and met has been nothing short of absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to actually go there. Not only the food, because I'm a big foodie, I love watching all those food, channels on YouTube and so forth. And I love Malaysian food, and I just love, especially the warm weather, and,
Yeah,
and and the warm weather, affects the people.
it does. It
Absolutely.
really does.
Cool. Um, let's see what else. What is as a coach? What would be the? Is there any productivity tip that you could share with us? One productivity tip that allows you to be more productive and more focused, and so on and so forth. Or what is your favorite productivity tip that you're using yourself in your life?
My most effective productivity tip I have is I start up the day with very clear intentions or
Mm,
very clear things that I need to get done today. Everything else is second to that.
wow,
So
amazing.
if I can't get those done, I won't engage in anything else.
What was your intention this morning when you woke up?
Um, Prepare to talk to you today.
Oh my god, I feel amazing. Thank you. That's so amazing. Okay, are you a reader?
I am.
Awesome. What would you say has been the book that has had the biggest impact on your life?
Ah, I would say Brene Brown.
Which one?
Um, it's uh, it's called Daring Greatly by Brene Brown,
Okay, let me write
and
this
she
down.
very much talk about vulnerability. And her book and her podcast I listened to really helped me to change the way I look at this.
What is the title again? Daring what? Sorry.
Daring Greatly.
Greatly. Okay, I'll definitely check it out. Okay, awesome. Um, one thing I really love about this podcast is connecting with amazing people around the world and learning from them because, education, learning is a lifelong journey, never ends. And I learned a lot of good things from you. You've been providing some absolute value bombs. We could keep continuing this for hours and hours. We might do a follow up in a few months. But would you have any parting tips for someone currently that is looking to maybe, as you say, to reconnect with themselves or anything to find their the purpose or the meaning? What parting tips would you give to that person? Any tips on that?
Mhm. I would say start with the question of what excites you the most, or what have you
Mm.
done recently that got you excited,
Oh, I like that.
and why.
I like that.
Spend an hour on your own, either on a piece of paper. I'm very much a
Mhm.
firm believer of a paper and pen. Cut off all distraction and just allow yourself to just sit on your own and just write what comes to you.
Beautiful. And if someone wants to connect with you, reach out with you, what is the best way to do so?
You can follow me on LinkedIn. Um, my LinkedIn name is also Lily Woi, or you can get in touch with me at lilywoicoaching.com. Always happy to have a chat, and they can book in a session with me on my website too.
Awesome, wonderful. Lily, it's been an absolute pleasure and blast talking to you. We can keep going for hours and hours, but we'll have to keep this short. We'll definitely do a follow up in a few months. So I salute you. We salute you. You're a true leader with a heart and an enlightened soul, and I wish you an amazing day and week ahead of you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time for being on the show with me today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that too.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.